is the All-State Game of the Week as Georgia Tech takes on Virginia in Charlottesville. Tech unbeaten and number 12 in the nation. You are watching the ACC on ESPN, and you will be watching one of the most prolific offenses in the country as Georgia Tech takes the field. Pam Ward, along with Dan Hawkins, former head coach both at Boise State and at Colorado. I don't think a lot of people saw this coming, Hawk. They're 6-0, Georgia Tech. Paul Johnson's team picked 4th in their own division, and yet they are playing really well, particularly on offense.
They are doing what they've always done, and his staff's been so successful at Navy and Georgia Southern. The difference is this year, they're hitting all those shots, and that's creating big plays for the offense.
Big plays running and throwing the ball. Let's take a look now at that triple option offense of Tech.
The first one is the dive, which you don't really see there, but now Tevin Washington pulls it and gets out on the edge. If that defender runs to the pitch key, then the quarterback's going to run it. If he comes out next time, and you see the defender pausing right there, if it takes the quarterback, they're going to kick it outside the B-back where he's running against a lot of space. Now, just when you think got things contained, stop the run. You need your secondary involved. They're going to go play action on you, pull the ball, and throw it up over your head, and that's led to all the explosion plays on offense this year in the passing game.
And they are so explosive in that passing game. Stephen Hill, their leading receiver, averaging 32.5 yards per catch. That is #1 in the nation. And they are in the top 6 in the nation, as you see, in 4 major categories. Only the service academies are running the ball better than Georgia Tech, and they are averaging just under 47 points per game. Orwin Smith leading the nation, 14.5 yards per carry.
Unheard of, and he's one of their best pass receivers as well. Virginia really has to be aware where he's lined up in this offense.
Virginia won the toss, and they will receive. Virginia has had success here against Georgia Tech in Charlottesville, winning 8 of the last 9 games played at Scott Stadium. And now we are underway. Short kick, fielded by the true freshman Jennings. And he heads up the right sideline, tackled down at the 28 by the kicker, David Scully, getting in there to make a play. And the Virginia offense coming out. Michael Rocco will indeed start for them. There had been some question about that. He had been struggling at times. This is a team coming off a bye week. Last time they played, they beat Idaho in overtime, and it was his backup, true freshman David Watford, who finished out the game. Handoff goes to Perry Jones, their leading rusher, and he gets a nice hole on the left side. Rambles for the first down. Rod Sweeting made the tackle, but it's 14 yards and a good start for the captain. Certainly an impact player on this team.
Perry Jones has to key the offense for the Cavaliers. They've got to get a running game going and establish some continuity to keep that Georgia Tech offense off the field.
Not only is he their leading rusher, but Jones also their leading receiver. 24 catches, their second leading receiver with 24 catches on the year. Over the middle, there's Jones showing his receiving ability. He was one-on-one with the linebacker Quayshawn Neely, but they could not hook up on that connection. Impact players for Georgia Tech, Julian Burnett.
He's a guy that's their team captain, and there's going to get them lined up. They will especially do a lot of tricky things on defense if they get in third downs.
Their defensive coordinator is Al Groh, the former head coach here at Virginia, coaching his first game back at Scott Stadium since he was dismissed 2 years ago. 2nd and 10, Rocco on the roll, throws it low. It is caught by Maximilian, their fullback. And he is able to get a couple of yards. Rashad Reed made the stop. Georgia Tech playing without perhaps their best defensive player, Jeremiah Tauchu, who is out. Hurt his leg against NC State on October the 1st, and he is not here today. And there is Al Groh, defensive coordinator, and doing his coaching from the field, his 2nd year as the defensive coordinator at Tech.
Pam, the offensive coordinator from Virginia, Bill Lazor's doing a nice job. A lot of shifting and motioning to keep the Tech defense off balance.
Kevin Parks, more their short yardage back, is in on 3rd and 7, and he carries a bunch of guys close to the first down. Looks like he has it.
Simple little trap draw up inside with a puller. They went unbalanced and motioned to split in across and got an extra blocker on the edge.
Parks is a guy who says that he would rather run through you than around you. Powerful runner. And the freshman, redshirt freshman, picks up the first down. And they are on Georgia Tech's side of the field, keeping it on the ground. Kevin Parks yet again. Julian Burnett, who we highlighted as an impact player for Georgia Tech, made the stop, but that's 6 more yards for UVA.
One of the issues is Al Groh is a 3-4 defensive guy. He's got that kind of personnel left over with the Cavaliers. He'd like a little more size in the 3-4, particularly up front with that nose guard and his inside backers to be a little more physical against the run game.
Mike London, in his 2nd year in charge of Virginia, was an assistant under Al Groh for 6 years when Groh was in charge. A little mix-up on the snap, but the quarterback Michael Rocco was able to fall on it for Virginia.
Virginia doing a nice job this year in their short screen game in this area. Been very productive. Great spot to do that.
Third and 4 now for Rocco, whose passing percentage actually has gone up on 3rd and 4th downs this season. And there is the little screen pass out to Perry Jones, caught it on the fly and picks up another first down, 14 yards. Ijon Cross made the stop, but this is a terrific opening drive for Virginia.
Screen pass going out here to the left. Very well designed, getting some blockers out front. A good catch. Virginia very good in the screen game. We've seen that from them before. Now they have to finish drives and execute.
Jones, their 2nd leading receiver on the year. 1 run for 14 yards and now 1 catch for 14 yards. As the officials have a little conference, David Epperly is our referee today. An official timeout as they go over to speak with Mike London over on the sideline. London, a Cavaliers assistant from 2001 to 2004, then went to the Houston Texans and came back and was Virginia's defensive coordinator for a couple years, then went to Richmond. And he won a national championship in his very first season there in the FCS, the championship subdivision. Coached 1 more year in 2009 there and has succeeded Al Groh at Virginia. 1st and 10, Perry Jones. This time going around the left side, only picked up a couple. Ijon Cross making his 20th straight start today, making the stop for Georgia Tech. And this Georgia Tech defense, Al Groh, with all the years in the NFL under Bill Parcells, always a 3-4 defense that he coached, and he brought that over to Georgia Tech. So both defenses really are in transition. Georgia Tech going from a 4-3 to a grow 3-4. Virginia from a grow 3-4 to a 4-3. On the roll, completion to the tight end Paul Friedman, picked up 3. Jason Peters made the stop for Tech. And there's the Georgia Tech defense under Al Groh, and Coach Hawkins, he really thinks that his team, he is seeing improvement over last year, but the personnel, they still have to recruit more personnel to fit his system.
Well, the defensive line in a 3-4 is generally what you call a 2-gap technique. They're going to play head up and really try to get a push, so you'd like a little more size and explosion, particularly out of your D linemen.
2 backs in now on 3rd and 5, 10th play of the drive, and another completion. Virginia able to convert on another 3rd down. That is receiver Tim Smith with his first catch of the game.
Little shallow cross coming from the right side of your screen, read perfectly. Bill Laser, the offensive coordinator for Virginia, does a nice job of keeping the defense off balance and spreading the field and getting a lot of people involved.
And he has been right down the middle. 5 rushes, 5 passes in the 10 plays. Rocco 4 for 5 through the air. And Virginia is in the red zone, where they have been terrific all year. 90% of the time they have scored. Barry Jones with a nice little cut inside. Picks up 9. Julian Burnett making the stop for Georgia Tech, and this is just a terrific drive, because one thing the teams always want to do is keep Georgia Tech's offense off the field, and here's a drive that's already over 5 minutes long.
Yeah, they need to put points on the board, particularly a touchdown with this kind of drive. You can't just move it and take time off the clock or settle for field goals. You need to get 7.
They had been perfect in the red zone until their last game a couple of weeks ago against Idaho, a game they had to go into overtime to win. So 2nd and 1. Pitch to Parks, and he heads towards the end zone and is in. A picture-perfect opening drive for Virginia.
Toss play coming out here to the right-hand side. Couple of big bodies, pullers in there. Virginia's offensive line has great size to it. They need to get their horns out, get a little stuff in their neck, and be physical up there and key that running game for Virginia.
7th rushing touchdown of the season for Parks. That ties a Virginia freshman record. Robert Randolph with the extra point. The Cavaliers run 12 plays, go 73 yards, just under 6 minutes. And they take a 7-0 lead over unbeaten Georgia Tech. Paul Johnson's offense will be on the field when we come back. A beautiful day in Charlottesville. It is homecoming here, and Virginia already with a 7-0 lead over Georgia Tech. Perry Jones off to a good start with a nice stutter step. Shreds the Tech defense for 7 yards. Isaiah Johnson made the stop. Rocco back to pass. Plenty of time. He has a wide open receiver, and he got him. Tim Smith makes the catch. Virginia scores again.
Offensive coordinator Bill Laser for Virginia doing an excellent job keeping Georgia Tech off balance. Running left and right, inside and outside screens, and then taking a couple of shots. This is something he knew he had to do to get this offense going, because it's tough to drive it 12 plays every drive. You need a shot or 2 to get your offense going.
Robert Randolph adds the extra point. 2 touchdowns now on the last 3 offensive snaps for Virginia as the first quarter comes to an end. So Mark London's going to have some time to think about what he wants to do. 2 possessions, 2 touchdowns for Virginia. They are up on unbeaten Georgia Tech 14-0 as we head to the second quarter. Welcome back to Charlottesville. In the first quarter, it was all Virginia. Opening drive, Kevin Parks with a 6-yard touchdown run that capped off a 12-play drive. And the next time they got the ball, Michael Rocco found Tim Smith with the fingertip catch. 14-0. Virginia leads unbeaten and 12th-ranked Georgia Tech. So a punt and a blocked field goal attempt is all that Georgia Tech has gotten. For the first time this year, they did not score on their opening drive. And then to further that, for the first time this year, Georgia Tech did not score at all in the first quarter. It's only the 3rd quarter all season in which they have been shut out. And Stephen Hill on an end around. He took the pitch and gets all the way up close to the 45-yard line, chased down by Chase Minifield.
Pam, one of the things I was going to say before we saw the blocked field goal, the option offense, particularly with Paul Johnson and his staff at the time they've been together, they need to look at what Jim Reed wants to do, and then they go to work on making their adjustments. So maybe the gashes aren't there in the first half, the first quarter that they're used to, but once they get a feel for how they're playing it, they start chipping away at that concrete and bigger plays start happening.
Big play by Stephen Hill, only his 2nd carry of the year, and then going down is Embry Peoples. He just got 1 yard. 58 of the 88 yards that Tech has gotten has been on pitches so far.
What you've seen the last two plays with the reverse and then a counter is Georgia Tech is sensing over pursuit by the defense. They're trying to counteract that, make guys stay on the backside and not get to the front side in their option.
They're making adjustments to what they've seen on the field. 2nd and 9 for Tech. Washington hangs onto it and then pitches it to Roddy Jones, and Jones picks up a first down for Tech. 17 more yards. Rodney McLeod made the stop for Virginia.
Going option to the right here. The value of continuity on an offense and a staff. Doing a nice job getting the backside pressure away on the two previous plays, and then they're able to gash them on the front side of that option.
First down now from the 38. Washington held on to it, and he went backwards. Check that. That's David Sims, who was tackled by Steve Greer. And it was interesting talking to Jim Reed, the defensive coordinator for Virginia. They had a bye week, so an extra time to prepare for the triple option has got to be helpful. But they were practicing without a football. It's assignment football, and it was somebody tackle the quarterback, somebody get the dive guy, somebody get the pitch guy. So they practiced on defense without a football, and there you see the triple option breakdown so far. 2nd and 10. Orwin Smith leading the nation, 14.5 yards per carry. That one was just under the average at 14. Corey Mosley made the stop.
Now this is a toss play back out. They're going, this is an old buck sweep wing T type play. It's not really a triple option play, but it's a way to counter that and get the ball to Orwin Smith on the corner with his speed.
First down. Embry Peoples' turn this time, and that's a very good tackle by Rodney McLeod, holding him to a 3-yard gain. McLeod, one of the captains on this team, and one of several guys that Jim Reed said you'd be proud if, you know, your daughter brought him home on a date. He loves his guys.
He does, and that is evident, I think, to their whole staff. I think there's a great feeling, a family feeling here on this football team.
Trying to get the right guys into this program. Good academic standards at Virginia. 2nd and 7. Washington with the pitch out to Peoples. And he is taken down again by Rodney McLeod. Close to the first down. McLeod already with 5 tackles back there.
Jim Reed's been playing a 1-high defense. You see 2 high now. He's trying to get an extra safety, getting across the field to that pitch guy to get an extra person in there.
Boy, that was great pursuit by McLeod, who went a long way to make that tackle.
If you don't see straight quarterback sneak, every option team, including Georgia Tech, usually runs quarterback follow right behind the diving fullback in here.
3rd and a very short one. Washington just hangs onto it and picks up the first down for the Yellowjackets. Washington again had 32 carries last week against Maryland. Paul Johnson thought he could have made some better reads on that. And Joe Vallone, because we asked about Maryland's defense, and Coach Johnson and a couple other people we talked to just raved about Joe Vallone, who had over 20 tackles for Maryland, just the game of his life as a defensive tackle for the Terps. Washington holds on to it again.
I think we had a little bit of a mix-up there. Normally that quarterback follows a short yardage play. I think he might have mishandled it, and typically what the quarterback will do, if he misreads it, he'll just duck right in behind the fullback and get it. He probably wanted to hand it to the fullback, but he missed the exchange.
Still picked up 5 yards. 2nd and 5 from the 6. Washington hung on to it, and he went down right away. Leroy Reynolds, the junior from Norfolk, dropped it for no gain.
Leroy Reynolds was a safety last year. This year converted to linebacker. They're blitzing the mesh point. You need to change it up sometimes and pressure the mesh point of the option and then back off sometimes and keep those reads difficult for the quarterback.
Jim Reed, the defensive coordinator, says Reynolds sometimes will make a mistake, but always does it at 100 miles an hour. 3rd and 6. And into the end zone, Tevin Washington held onto it. A relatively easy path to the end zone. Georgia Tech scores its first touchdown of the game.
Coming back with the quarterback follow right behind the fullback. Paul Johnson's been doing this a while, and one thing that'll happen, if you don't stop a play, he's going to keep coming back at it until you have some sort of an answer.
Ran for a couple of scores last week against Maryland, and finds the end zone for the 7th time this year. Justin Moore's extra point cuts the lead to 14-7. It took 3 drives for Georgia Tech to get on the board, and they have cut Virginia's lead in half. Virginia gives it to Clifton Richardson, the true freshman. First time he's gotten in there and gotten a carry. Picks up 4 yards. Steven Sylvester with the stop for Georgia Tech. And Virginia sticking with Michael Rocco. They've been going with David Watford every game in the 4th series he has come on, but Rocco has had the hot hand, and they're sticking with him.
Yeah, they've been looking for somebody to ignite this fire. Let's see if Al Groh starts blitzing and being a little more diverse here than normally. He's going to be base on the first couple downs, and let's see if he starts blitzing here just to get after Virginia and create some negative plays.
And just as you said that, he blitzed Julian Burnett. Coach Hawkins, Coach Groh, right on the same wavelength right there.
Well, it's that old saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And so changing it up, bringing pressure. Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator for Virginia, has been doing a good job early downs, doing the play action and throwing the ball, taking his shots downfield. Al Groh trying to counter that and put him in a negative situation. Now you're going to see a whole bunch of voodoo on defense from Coach Groh.
Burnett is their leading tackler, got picked up the sack, dropped him for a 6-yard loss. And here's Virginia with a 3rd and long at 3rd and 12. Rocco sends it up, and it's intercepted. Boy, he threw it into triple coverage. Rod Sweeting picks it off, and he's still going, and he's going to score. Georgia Tech gets the turnover and the opportunity to tie up the game.
Great interception by Rod Sweeting, trying to get the ball out there to number 18, Chris Bird. Did not bring pressure from the second level, throwing that ball into coverage. Not a good decision, obviously. Normally they've been pressured in those situations. They played base. Got to manage the football game there.
Just as we were talking about how good Rocco has been, he reverts to bad Rocco. Justin Moore with the extra point ties this game up. Tech with 2 touchdowns in the last 98 seconds. Back-to-back games now. Rod Sweeting has picked off a pass. This time it's a pick 6, and the 14-0 Virginia lead is gone. A quarterback change for Virginia. David Watford, the true freshman, is in. Pitches it to Perry Jones. And Watford from Hampton, Virginia, such a talent-rich area as far as athletes. A lot of great football players coming out of there. And Mike London said during the bye week that Watford was breathing down Rocco's neck as far as taking over the quarterback position. He wanted to create some competition. He said really with every player, not just at the quarterback position. And Rocco played solidly until that last drive when he threw an interception.
You hate to take a guy out on a negative play when he's played so well.
But Watford coming in. Second time in a row he's given it up to Perry Jones, and Jones runs for the first down. So Watford able to come in. He enrolled early, so he went through spring practice this year, but there are the comparisons. Watford, the more athletic and versatile quarterback. Completion percentage not nearly what Rocco's is, but he has a much better touchdown to interception ratio. And he got most of the play in their last game against Idaho, played all but 1 series in the 4th quarter, and the overtime possession when they beat Idaho. So now Watford is back in there. Handing it off to Kevin Parks. And Parks takes it up close to midfield, picks up 9.
The running game has been key for Virginia. Algro had some success early downs last time blitzing. Let's see if he comes back to that. Virginia just been running power football, particularly on short yardage right here. And Coach Grove, defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech, doesn't have the size up front to compete man on man. He needs to add some extra blitzers in there to counteract that size differential.
Virginia's offensive line averaging 305 pounds per man. Clifton Richardson, a true freshman, in the backfield, but Watford's going to throw it for the first time, and it's almost intercepted. That was Brandon Watts, the linebacker, getting a start today. Almost came up with Georgia Tech's second pick of the day.
That's the scary kind of stuff a young quarterback will do that worries Mike London and Bill Lazor. He needs to eliminate those negative plays.
They have worked with him on his delivery. They said when he came in, he had too much of a wind-up, so they're starting to shorten his throwing motion. 3 tight ends in now on 3rd and 1 for Virginia. And Richardson is able to spin away and get the first down. Bottled up originally, but kept his feet going. 5 tough yards for the freshman from Newport News. Julian Burnett had a chance to wrap him up, but he got away.
Good physical, tough running. Need to be better tacklers. That's that size differential there. Need a little bigger linebacker in that 3-4 scheme to step up there and blunt that run.
Richardson, a 215-pound freshman, true freshman, who was a high school quarterback in Newport News. And that's a negative play. They go right back to Richardson, and that time he couldn't get away from Jason Peters. Still was able to get free for a little bit, but was dropped for a 1-yard loss. It's the All-State game of the week. Number 12 Georgia Tech, 6-0 on the season, fell behind Virginia 14-0, but able to come back and tie it. Tevin Washington with a 7-yard touchdown run, then Rod Sweeting with a 32-yard interception return for Georgia Tech. Pam Ward along with Dan Hawkins. A beautiful afternoon homecoming here on the campus of the University of Virginia.
Georgia Tech subbing their dime group in here. Normally a blitzing type.
Design play for the quarterback, and Watford takes off, picks up a Virginia first down. More versatile than the man he replaced, Michael Rocco.
Quarterback lead right there adds an extra dimension to the offense, and you have to get another defender in there to counteract the fullback blocking instead of carrying the ball.
There is Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator for Virginia. All 38 yards on this drive have been on the ground. Here's the second pass, and it's dropped. That should have been caught by Tim Smith, who caught a touchdown pass earlier in this game. Smith, a 37-yard pass from Michael Rocco earlier, should have had this one.
Well, this was a running play set up to the left. The corner was playing way off, and then the quarterback has an option to throw a hitch route out there to the quarterback, and it was a great play scheme, but didn't get executed correctly.
Brings up a 2nd and 10. Perry Jones going around the left side, has some room, and he runs for another Virginia first down. This looks a lot like the first couple of drives that Virginia had this afternoon.
Lewis Young jumping inside the block, able to get outside. This is the second or third time that Virginia Tech has used a block down and pulled 2 linemen outside, and that has constricted the defense and allowed the running game to get outside the outside defender.
Jones averaging 8 yards per carry. He is 8th in the ACC in rushing coming into this game, and he has been replaced in the backfield by Richardson, and there's the freshman. Big running room, and Richardson stretches into the end zone. They're marking him down at the 1.
Bill Laser doing an awesome job. They set that up with a shift and then a motion and get to unbalance, so they actually get 2 extra blockers over there. Great scheme and design offensively.
They marked him down at the 1, but the replay seeming to indicate that the ball had crossed the plane when his knee hit.
The ruling on the pitch is reversed. Touchdown.
Good job by the replay officials. And what a drive engineered by Virginia. No completed passes. They did it all on the ground. Almost like a Paul Johnson kind of drive. 8 runs, 2 passes. They go 72 yards, all of it on the ground. A couple of passes, but neither one completed. So Robert Randolph in for the extra point. And Virginia responds beautifully after Georgia Tech scored 14 straight points to tie it up. The true freshman, Clifton Richardson, coming in, stretching for the end zone, 22-yard score. Virginia leads again. 3:19 and counting left to go in this one. Preston Lyons' first play as the B-back, but Tevin Washington, the quarterback, hangs onto it himself and runs for Georgia Tech first down. Aaron Taliaferro made the stop for Virginia.
Jim Reed going back to his single high type defense that he ran early on. Pretty balanced on offense there, Pam.
Yep, the pitch has been the most prolific, 102 yards on that. Tech with all 3 of its timeouts remaining. Washington with plenty of time takes a shot downfield, and Chase Minifield had it all the way, trying to go to Stephen Hill, who has been silenced so far, and Minifield has his 2nd interception in as many games.
Great matchup by defensive coordinator Jim Reed, putting Chase Minifield on man-to-man coverage of Stephen Hill. That ball needs to be up and outside. If you're going to miss, it needs to miss outside, not inside.
But Virginia with an opportunity to score again before the half. Homecoming at Virginia, and UVA with a 21-14 lead over Georgia Tech, who is unbeaten on the season. They have the ball back after a Chase Minifield interception, and Michael Rocco is back playing quarterback. Hands it off to Perry Jones, and Jones runs away from some folks. Perry Jones into Georgia Tech territory, steps out at the 37. 23 yards for him.
Missed tackles at the point of attack. Excellent stiff arm. Virginia is showing the Georgia Tech vaunted running game that they've got a pretty talented running game themselves.
They're actually out rushing them, and they are averaging 7.7 yards per play overall in this game. After the timeout, first down, Jones takes the pitch, goes right up the middle, down to about the 32-yard line. Picked up 5 yards. Watts made the stop for this Georgia Tech defense, which is missing Jeremiah Atauchu, their talented linebacker, missing his 2nd straight game after hurting his leg against NC State on October 1st. Second and 4, Kevin Parks is the tailback. He gets the pitch. Going around the left side. And he is close to another first down. John Cross with the stop.
The variety and diversification of the offense of Virginia has been really something awesome to see. A lot of shifts, a lot of motions, different formations, variety of inside and outside plays, crossers in the passing game, doing a nice job. Here's Bill Laser, their offensive coordinator, young guy, very compelling, doing an excellent job mixing it up.
There was the play selection for Virginia. Right back to the ground on 3rd and short. Julian Burnett stops Richardson. And Richardson picked up the first down. Well, Virginia still with 2 timeouts left to go. They are 5 for 7 on 3rd down so far in this game. You see Richardson almost. The ball, in fact, did pop out, but he was able to fall on top of it. Inside a minute to go in the first half. Parks, the tailback, gets the pitch and doesn't get much on the right side. Quayshawn Neely making the start over Daniel Drummond. Drummond available today. Did not play last week because he got hurt against NC State. Virginia has had the ball almost 5 minutes longer than Georgia Tech in this game. Rocco dumps it down to Perry Jones, and he was taken down. That's a good tackle by Julian Burnett to get him by the ankles, or else he would have gotten quite a few more yards. Picked up 6. Clock keeps running. Virginia with just 1 timeout remaining.
Georgia Tech getting more of a 4-down rush here, which is something they haven't done much of.
And Rocco throws it away. Perry Jones was over there. I think he was a little confused as to why he wasn't thrown to. 18 seconds left to go. And that brings up 4th and 3 and brings out Robert Randolph, the field goal kicker. 36-yard field goal attempt for Robert Randolph. And that is perfect. From 36 yards out, Randolph, the 8th most accurate field goal kicker in the history of the ACC, extends UVA's lead to 10. And that'll do it. Virginia takes a 24-14 lead into the half. First time Georgia Tech has trailed at the half all season long. Only 154 yards of offense for Tech. They averaged 553. Great first half for Virginia. They're up 10 as we send it to Dari Noka. Dari for SportsCenter U. Welcome back to the All-State Game of the Week. Georgia Tech is taking on Virginia. And at the half, unbeaten Georgia Tech is trailing Virginia 24-14. You are watching the ACC on ESPN. And what you're watching right now is an upset. Pam Ward along with Dan Hawkins, the former Boise State and Colorado head coach. This is a Georgia Tech team that comes in averaging 47 points per game. They're on pace right now to have their lowest offensive output of the season yardage-wise. What is Virginia doing?
Well, number one, they're keeping the ball away from, they haven't punted the whole half. They missed a field goal, threw a pick for a touchdown. So that's the key. Virginia is not letting Georgia Tech get on the field. Offensively, they've been okay except for the interceptions, but Virginia's controlling the ball on offense.
They have had the ball longer than Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech gets it first. Tony Zenon able to escape a tackle, but then is enveloped around the 15-yard line. That's a 9-yard return for Zenon. Let's go back to the first half stats. Georgia Tech has not completed a pass. They've thrown a couple of turnovers, has Tevin Washington. The time of possession, almost 5 minutes more for Virginia. This is a Georgia Tech team that averages almost 47 points per game, 554 yards per game, but only 154 yards in the first half. Washington hanging on to it. Chase Minifield is blocked, and that breaks Washington free. A flag is down around midfield as Washington crosses the goal line. Minifield wanted a block in the back.
Late flag. Stephen Hill, wide receiver number 5 for Georgia Tech, pleading his case.
Illegal block in the back. Number 5. 10-yard penalty from foul. First down.
And that erases an 85-yard touchdown run.
What Jim Reed, the defensive coordinator for Virginia, has done a nice job of. There's a block in the back right there. Has done a nice job of limiting the explosion plays.
And Paul Johnson well onto the field, yelling at one of the officials, the side judge, Mike Safford, hearing from it from Coach Johnson. But that was a humongous hole for Washington that opened up. And you saw clearly in the replay that Stephen Hill got a piece of Chase Minifield from behind and then put his hands up in the air, which guilty guys always seem to do, right? You put your hands up in the air like I didn't do it, when indeed he did. That's Orwin Smith averaging 14.5 yards per carry coming into this game, only 5 yards per carry in the first half. There is the play again. Stephen Hill with his hands up in the air saying he didn't do it. Paul Johnson disgusted to say the least. 2nd and 7, opening drive of the second half. Virginia brings the blitz and it works out. Washington hanging on to it, but not getting much, maybe a yard. Jake Snyder, there you see big old number 90, just a sophomore from Glen Allen, Virginia, making the stop.
Good changeup on defense by Jim Reed, bringing a little pressure inside. That's going to limit the dive and the quarterback. The shell of the defense, even front, playing a single high safety with 8 down in the box has kind of been their formula.
3rd and 6. And the pitch to David Sims, and he did pick up the first down on a 3rd and 6. They got 7, the best team in the country converting 3rd downs coming into this game.
Little wrinkle, unbalanced, all the receivers are trips to the left and then pulling the guard coming back to the right side. Not the biggest part of their offense, so that's a little wrinkle they probably decided to go to at halftime.
Good enough for the first down. Puts the ball on the 45. And Sims gets it on back-to-back plays. That time taken down by Jake Snyder. Picked up 4 more yards for Georgia Tech. Tech was down 14-0. Virginia scored on its first 2 possessions of the game. Tech came back to tie it. And then Virginia scored the last 10 points of the first half. Georgia Tech 6-0 on the season. Preston Lyons now in at the B-back position. And Tevin Washington hangs on to it. Nick Jenkins making the stop for a negligible gain.
Similar problems they had last week against Maryland of defensive linemen sliding and shooting gaps and not allowing a normal read by the quarterback.
2nd straight 3rd and 6 on this drive for Georgia Tech. And the dive play to Preston Lyons. And he is stopped close to the first down. Jake Snyder with yet another tackle. And it is a 4th down. They're not even going to measure it. It's about a foot short. And we anticipate them going for it.
What I like about Paul Johnson, hairs up on the back of his neck here. He wants to get his club going. He's not going to take the passive route.
They are 4 for 7 on 4th down so far this season. Washington hangs on to it and picks up the first down. Picked up a couple when they just needed 1. The 4th down gamble pays off for Georgia Tech. Johnson in his 4th year at Georgia Tech, 15th overall. 5 passes, no completions, 2 interceptions, and about a yard for Washington as he kept it on that play.
Virginia sticking to its plan of not giving up big plays, big explosion plays, making Georgia Tech earn every yard they get. And with the offense playing the way they have, that's a successful formula.
Second and 8. And nothing doing there for Sims. Maybe picked up a couple of tough yards. Nothing explosive so far for Georgia Tech. No plays over 30 yards for the offense. And this is something we showed at the top of the game. This is what your play chart looked like when you were at Colorado. A lot more plays than Georgia Tech.
And it's probably what Virginia's playlist looks like. 70 to 100 plays, a lot of formations. Georgia Tech, coach saying he's coming into this game with 10 plays. They're going trips over here to the left side.
On 3rd and 7, they converted on a 4th down play earlier to keep this drive alive, and it looks like Washington has been marked down a little bit short of the 1st down marker. Steve Greer making the stop. And it's going to make it a 4th and 1. So instead of a 4th and 10, it's a 4th and 5. Washington went back to pass, pulled it down, and now he's got a clear field all the way down to the 5-yard line. McLeod induced him out of bounds. Tech has not completed a pass today, and they got a 23-yard run on that one.
Virginia rushing 4, playing man, got guys back turned to the quarterback and leaves the middle of the field wide open.
So they are 3 for 3 on 4th down conversions on this drive, which is now over 8 minutes long. Opening drive of the 2nd half. Right up the gut, close to the goal line. That's David Sims, tackled by Matt Conrath. This is sort of your stereotypical Georgia Tech drive. 18th play of the drive coming up. But they have needed some 4th down conversions. The Virginia defense may be a little winded. Some hands on hips out there.
Typical quarterbacks follow territory for option teams here.
And they try it. Washington is stopped just short of the goal line. Paul Johnson's team has had 4 drives more than 7 minutes. This one is going to be over 9 if they score here, but 10 drives in less than 1 minute. A lot of quick hitters, but they have had nothing of the sort in this game. 3rd and goal. And this time they get in. Tevin Washington, the quarterback, keeps it. A brilliant opening drive for Georgia Tech. 19 plays, 85 yards, 9.5 minutes.
Virginia had gone that first half without a penalty, and the offsides really hurt them when it was 4th and 10 and then became 4th and 5. That was critical in that series.
Tevin Washington's 2nd touchdown run of the game. David Scully coming in. Usually their kickoff man comes in to kick the extra point for Justin Moore. Georgia Tech hanging on to the ball for 9.5 minutes. Now down 3. Back in Charlottesville, where number 12 Georgia Tech has taken the football. And what a great drive it was for them. Tevin Washington and company converting 3 4th down plays, including this 4th and 5. It had been a 4th and 10, but a Virginia penalty made it a 4th and 5. And then ultimately the quarterback took it in for a 2nd rushing score of the game. A 9.5 minute drive, 19 plays, 85 yards. David Scully kicks off. It's a very short kickoff that is taken by Shepard. Alex Shepard breaking away. And he gets up close to midfield. 29-yard return on what was a short kickoff. Pitch to Perry Jones, who tries to get outside and does. Boy, Perry Jones looked like he was bottled up on the near sideline, but he was able to escape for a 1st down.
Georgia Tech trying to bump the front over with the motion, part of the adjustment they probably talked about at halftime, and we're in position, but again, a missed tackle on the edge.
Check that, not a 1st down, 14-yard gain, 2nd and 1, and with that run, Jones is over 100 yards, 11 carries for 106 to be exact. Went over 1,000 career yards in his last game against Idaho, and now over 100 yards in this singular game. So, Right through the middle, moving the pile, is Kevin Parks, more of the power runner for Virginia with the tandem along with Perry Jones. Clifton Richardson, the freshman, got in and had a 22-yard touchdown run back in the first half as well for the Cavaliers. Third quarter comes to a close. Mike London, his team, trying to pull off the upset over unbeaten Georgia Tech. And there's the play selection for both teams. We've had 100 plays total. Kevin Parks with the run, taken down by Burnett yet again. Burnett, one of the captains on this team. 4th and 1, a long one. What do we think Mike London's going to do here?
Well, I think he's getting his horns out. You have to be careful. Pivotal moment in the game. Georgia Tech, you don't want to give them a short field to get back going in this thing.
Al Groh, the former head coach here at the University of Virginia, back for the first time as the defensive coordinator at Tech. And they go for it on 4th, and it's incomplete. Some contact downfield, looking for the tight end, Coulter Phillips. They went for it, threw it, and did not get it. So Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator, dialed one up, didn't work. Tech has the ball when we come back. Washington has nobody open. Great coverage by the Virginia defense. And Steve Greer takes down Washington after a 2-yard gain. 4th and long, and Georgia Tech's going to punt.
A great stop. Pam, you were saying they were needed 14, and in my mind, I'm thinking what they need is not to turn it over, because the game is still in the balance. They punt the ball and get good field position. Virginia hasn't done much on offense, and though it's not very sexy to be able to just punt the ball right here, it's better than the turnover.
Chase Minifield back for Sean Poole's punt. And a fair catch again for Chase. 37-yard punt that time. But the Virginia defense coming up with 3 straight stops, giving the ball back to them. It's been a happy homecoming so far for the Virginia fans. Their team upsetting unbeaten Georgia Tech 24-21. They have the football back, trying to cement this. And Perry Jones is a good guy to get the football too, adding on to his over 100 yards on the ground, 11 yards and a first down.
Running power right up inside to the left side. Had been trying to get some yardage outside the past few series, now coming right at the heart of that defense.
Second straight 100-yard game on the ground for Perry Jones. Virginia had only 49 yards this half before that 11-yard run by Jones. Keeping it on the ground, keeping it with Jones. Shouldered out of bounds at the 41 by Isaiah Johnson.
Virginia comes back and goes with that same unbalanced set, motions the receiver cross, and not only do they have an extra man, they're into the boundary, which makes it a little bit short-handed for the defense. That's a good scheme by Virginia.
Picking up 8 yards, so it's a 2nd and 2 for Michael Rocco. Rocco, the only starter on Virginia's offense that was not recruited by Al Groh. Now the defensive coordinator at Georgia Tech. Had been the head coach here for 9 years. 2nd and 2. Kevin Parks trying to get around the edge, and he does, nimbly. Stepping out of bounds near the first down marker. Rashad Reed pushed him out. And it is another UVA first down.
The benefit of those shots early on have made Georgia Tech stay with 2 safeties back to avoid the big play. Then you got to play that running game with more 7 guys in the box. That tends to favor the offense. That's been a good change up for Virginia, taking those shots.
A good job squirting through there. Kevin Parks the more powerful of the running backs compared to Perry Jones, picked up 10. Good running game for Virginia today. 250 rush yards for Virginia.
We certainly would have thought those numbers would have been on the other side of the line of scrimmage today.
They average 177 rush yards, which is only 4th best in the ACC, does UVA, and they have 250, just 22 behind Georgia Tech today. A lot of pressure coming up, and Rocco throws it away. Quayshawn Neely with the pressure on Rocco. Running game had been working for them, and Bill Lazor dialed up a pass play. There were some gasps from the crowd. I don't think they were too thrilled with the call. You stopped the clock, obviously, and running had done them well. So let's see what Al Groh, the defensive coordinator, is drawing up. Sending in the signals. Bill Lazor on the right, the offensive coordinator for Virginia. Big 3rd and 6.
They think it's screen here again. They're good at it. It's part of what they like to get into.
Tech brought the blitz. Perry Jones caught it on the opposite side and picks up the 1st down. A perfect counter, and Virginia moves the chains.
They like to pass when it works. Motion down inside, constricted the edge, a lot of space on the outside. Mike Rocco just getting the ball out early, letting his playmaker go to work.
Perry Jones, the 2nd leading receiver behind Chris Bird, who has been a total non-factor in this game for Virginia. Now they're going to keep it on the ground. Parks again gets 4. Georgia Tech with the 2 timeouts remaining. And they're taking one now. Boy, it helps. Perry Jones has been a beast, running the ball 137 yards. And their defense, after that opening 85-yard touchdown drive, the opening drive of the 3rd quarter for Georgia Tech, they have shut down this Georgia Tech offense ever since. 2nd and 6. Kevin Parks taken down a couple yards short of the 1st down. That's a hard tackle by Julian Burnett.
Georgia Tech coming with a goal line defense. They're still having a hard time stopping the toss play, getting the edge there.
But they need a stop right now. But Virginia has done a great job on this drive. 10th play of the drive coming up. They've already gone 53 yards and eaten up over 3.5 minutes of clock. Third and 2 out of the eye, and they get it. And more. Kevin Parks keeps on going down to the 18-yard line. 1st down, Virginia.
Georgia Tech has not been able to stop that inside power game. They were in a goal line short yardage play again. That's where I think Al Groh would love to see 20, 30 more pounds of weight on a guy, both at the linebacker and the D-line spot in there.
He continues to adjust, taking a 4-3 defense to his preferred 3-4, but still trying to get the personnel in place. Perry Jones' turn to hang on to the football. Georgia Tech with only 1 timeout remaining. Mike London, who was an assistant for 6 years here under Al Groh, trying to beat his old boss, who is now the defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech. Tech has taken its final timeout. It is, well, what does it do for Georgia Tech now as they move forward in their season?
Well, they knew they were starting to hit the tough part of their schedule, and the first part of the season wasn't as taxing as they get into ACC play, so they knew they were getting the tough situation now.
Perry Jones running it for UVA. This Virginia offensive line starting to manhandle Georgia Tech. O'Day Abushi, Austin Pasdor, Anthony Mahota, Luke Bawanko, and Morgan Moses. Let's give them some love. That O-line has done a really good job for Virginia, particularly here in the fourth quarter when they needed to run out the clock. Perry Jones now with a career-high 153 yards. The victory formation. And with this win, Virginia matches its win total of last year when they only won 4 games. They only won 1 game in the ACC, and it was over Miami, who was ranked at the time. And here they are getting another ACC win, their first of the season against a ranked Georgia Tech team.
Breakthrough moment for Coach London and the Cavaliers. Little stepping stone for them to build on, get some confidence, some momentum, a little energy.
And that'll do it. Virginia has upset Georgia Tech and knocked them from the ranks of the unbeatens. The Cavaliers on a homecoming Saturday beat the Yellowjackets 24-21. Georgia Tech in the second half, their opening drive, 85 yards, 19 plays for a touchdown. Their last 3 drives, 15 plays, only 42 yards, 3 punts. The defense shut down one of the most prolific offenses in the country. 296 yards is all Georgia Tech could muster.
Credit the Virginia offense keeping Georgia Tech's offense off the field, and then on that last drive when they had to have it, they were able to run the ball, chew clock, get critical first downs, and take control of the football game.
296 yards for Georgia Tech, a season low. Last week, 386 against Maryland, then a season low. So back-to-back subpar games offensively. Second week in a row, they're held to only 21 points. They were able to win last week, but this week they fell short. And what a scene in Charlottesville for the Cavaliers. Perry Jones, a career-high 153 yards on 19 rushes. Kevin Parks with 82 yards on 16 attempts. Virginia outrushed Georgia Tech 273-272. Things turned upside down here today, and the Cavaliers came away with the win.